11 spine-chilling Stalker horror stories. Terrifying encounters with sinister figures revealed. In the quiet suburban town of Maplewood, fear lurks behind every white picket fence. Sarah, a single mother and dedicated night shift nurse, feels the unsettling weight of watchful eyes as she returns home one evening. As twilight descends, she pulls into her driveway, exhaustion weighing on her. But there, across the street, stands a gaunt figure, his face concealed by a worn baseball cap. He gazes at her, an unshakable chill creeping down her spine. Her heart races. Why is he watching? Over the next few days, her normal routine spirals into dread. At first, it's little things, garden gnomes disappearing without a trace from her neatly tended yard. Then, cryptic notes appear on her car windshield, detailing her daily life with alarming precision. Enjoying your walk to the park with Lily? Don't forget your sunscreen, one reads scrawled in a hurried hand. Each time she glances over her shoulder, her breath quickens, the innocent laughter of children outside morphing into a ghastly backdrop for her growing paranoia. This can't just be a prank, can it? Yet she wants so desperately for it to be nothing, a misguided joke from the neighbors. But the real fear emerges when Sarah finds a note in her mailbox. It outlines Lily's school schedule, her friends' names written in an almost casual manner. Fear clutches her throat as she realizes this isn't merely an invading prankster, it's someone who knows their every move, their routine. She calls the police, her voice trembling, only to be met with an indifferent officer who brushes off her panic. It's probably just a prank, he yawns, leaving Sarah alone in her spiraling fear. They're supposed to protect her, yet the responses sting like betrayal. Panic blooms in her chest. Night after night, shadows creep closer to her home, and her sense of safety dissolves like smoke. Armed only with her instincts, she decides to confront this unseen danger alongside her daughter. They step into the chilly night, each echoing footstep amplified in the heavy silence. The streetlights flicker ominously, illuminating warped shadows that seem to stretch toward her, grasping at her sanity. Just as her heart feels like it will burst from her chest, her phone vibrates violently in her pocket. A message from an unknown number flashes on the screen. "I see you." It's brief and chilling, sending a jolt of icy terror through her veins. As Lily clings to her side, Sarah's pulse quickens. What's lurking in the depths of their once beloved neighborhood? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As darkness envelopes their surroundings, Sarah's breath hitches. She can't shake the suffocating feeling of being hunted. The flickering house lights around her flicker off one by one, plunging the street into inky blackness. It's as though her neighbors have retreated behind their own curtains, leaving her and Lily exposed. Words barely form in her mind. She grips her daughter's hand tighter, fear pooling in her gut. Have they all turned? She trudges onward into the murk, every beat of the night amplifying her instincts. Are they really safe? Is the man still watching from the shadows? With every creak and rustle, the familiar gives way to unfamiliar dread, her intuition screaming for her to run. In the eerie stillness, the hushed whispers of her community seem to twist into ominous vows, miscomprehended assurances as she races home. But what if home isn't safe anymore? What unwritten horror has taken root in Maplewood? The nightmare is just beginning. Each step felt like a betrayal of her instinct to flee. Fear clawed at Sarah's stomach, making her insides twist painfully. She glanced down at Lily, whose innocent expression was disrupted by shadows that danced with uncertainty. The child's small hand trembled in hers, a small anchor against the tide of terror that threatened to drown them both. As they reached the safety of their porch, Sarah's mind raced. She fumbled with her keys, her fingers slick with sweat. A sudden crack echoed through the night, a splintering sound from the backyard. She froze, her heart pummeling against her chest. Was there something or someone approaching? The hairs on her neck prickled. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, her eyes wide. "Stay close," Sarah managed to say, forcing her voice to remain steady. She finally got the door open and ushered Lily inside, slamming it shut behind them. The sound resonated in the stillness, amplified as if the neighborhood itself held its breath. "Why are you all scared?" Lily asked, oblivious to the heaviness that hung in the air. "Just the storm coming, sweetheart," Sarah lied, in desperate need to shield her daughter from the creeping dread. She pushed aside her mounting terror, locking the door and double-checking the windows. Each click filled the room like a fragile promise. Pacing the dimly lit living room, she felt the walls closing in. The familiar space her sanctuary had transformed into a cage. What if the man was out there, waiting for just the right moment to slip inside? What if he was watching her, lurking in the recesses of the night like a ghost she couldn't touch? She caught sight of the clock tick-tocking away, each second sharpening her anxiety. The rhythmic sound morphed into the mocking laughter of the past few days, notes taunting her in the recesses of her mind. "Do not go to sleep," she muttered, feeling fatigue tug at her eyelids. "Mommy, I'm tired," Lily said, yawning. "No, sweetie. We have to stay awake." With a resolute conviction, she grabbed her phone, scrolling through her contacts for the third time, hesitating. Were the police still dismissing her? Should she try her sister, or someone who believed her? She could hardly think straight. The sense of vulnerability blossomed anew. The man was no longer on the periphery of her mind, he was inside with them now. Then her phone vibrated again. Her heart stopped. Another message: "I'm closer than you think." Cold fear speared her, the display glowing ominously in the dim room. Did they have a security system? Could she protect Lily? Each emotional thought danced like a shadow, whispering that she was out of her depth. A sudden sound, a soft tapping on the window. The rest of the world faded. She focused solely on the glass, trying to breathe. Goosebumps erupted on her skin. "Mommy, what is that?" Lily's voice quivered, her innocence slicing through the tension. "Don't look. Hide. They can't see you." Fearful words flicked through Sarah's mind like a sinister mantra. Yet she turned slowly, dread pulling at every limb, her heart a thunderous drum in her ears. As she peered toward the source of the sound, the silhouette of the man, obscured but unmistakable, took form against the glass. Panic surged, rendering her breathless. "Lily, get away from the windows!" she screamed, her voice breaking the dreadful silence. The tapping stopped, replaced with a muffled voice that seeped through the glass, chilling her to her core. "Why don't you invite me in? You know I'm just here to play." The irreversible truth settled heavy. The nightmare was no longer a distant specter but alive, breathing just outside their door. She felt her spine stiffen, dread churning into a primal instinct to survive. What would she do now? How could she protect the daughter she loved? As fear gripped her, realization dawned on Sarah. She needed a plan, a way to confront this horror lurking beyond, to reclaim what was rightfully hers. The game had just begun. What would happen next when she confronted the man that had turned her life into a living hell? Panic grasped Sarah, fueling adrenaline through her veins. She had to act. Fumbling for a nearby lamp, she flicked it on, its warm glow pushing back the shadows, if only slightly. "Lily, come here," she urged, pulling her daughter towards the kitchen, away from those cursed windows. The child was bewildered, her innocent face lit with confusion. "We'll be safer in here." But even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. The kitchen held its own perils. Knives gleamed ominously in the drawer. What could she use? What could she do? The tapping resumed, slower this time, a morbid rhythm that echoed her racing heart. Each sound felt deliberate, a taunt from the darkness beyond. "Mommy, I don't like this," Lily whimpered, clutching her mother's leg. "I know, baby. Just stay quiet." Sarah yanked open the kitchen drawer and yanked out a knife, feeling the cold steel press against her palm. It offered no comfort, only a reminder that this moment wasn't the absurdity of a nightmare. It was their reality. She knew she should call for help, but the thought spiraled out of reach like smoke in the air. A thrill of terror danced at the edges of her mind as she heard the voice again, closer now. Sarah, you know I'm just trying to play. If you don't let me in, it won't be fun anymore. Every syllable twisted her stomach further. How did he know her name? Simon, sweetheart, she murmured, dragging Lily closer to the back door that led to the porch. She was torn between the desire to flee and the instinct to stay put. Was he waiting for her to slip up? I don't want to play, Lily exclaimed, her small voice cracking. Listen to me. You need to be very quiet, Sarah whispered as they reached the corner of the kitchen, just out of sight of the window. Swallowing hard, she peeked back, locking her gaze on that shadowy figure. He shifted, and the porch light flickered, as though it could barely hold on to the encroaching dark. Mommy, what does he want? Lily asked, her eyes wide. I don't know, honey. But we can't let him in. I promise you, we'll be okay. The glass door rattled suddenly, and Sarah's breath hitched. Her grip on the knife tightened. It was a soft pressure at first, an innocent test, but it escalated into a violent shaking. Are you afraid of the dark? The voice taunted, merging with the sound of the rattling doorknob. I can help you. You just have to let me in. You know this game is better with two. He knows I'm inside, and fear took a new shape, coiling tight around her throat. How did he find them? Mommy, let us go out. Let us get away. No, she replied harshly, squeezing Lily's hand. It's not safe. With every passing second, the insistent voice seemed to weave into the very structure of their home. What if he didn't just want to play? What if he had other plans, darker ones? In that moment, Sarah saw the slight glint of metal, an old hammer leaning against the kitchen counter, an abandoned tool from a long-forgotten project. Maybe it wouldn't just be a nightmare. Maybe it could give her the edge she desperately needed. As fear stripped away her hesitance, she took one last look at the door, bracing herself for the inevitable. Ready or not, here I come, the man whispered behind the door once more, filled with a sickening glee. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the back window. The glass shattered, scattering shards across the floor like broken promises. Mommy! Lily screamed. With her heart pounding, Sarah swung around, hammer in hand, fear curdling into a boiling rage. The lines of sanity blurred, and she prepared to face whatever horror this man truly was. But he wasn't just some stranger. What if he was leading her into a bigger trap, one she couldn't comprehend? As she edged toward the shattered window, a thought sliced through her. Was there more to his game than she realized? The night was far from over. The true terror loomed just beyond the cusp of darkness. What was waiting for her in that forsaken shadow? Sarah's breath came in shallow gasps, her gaze darting between the shattered window and the doorway. The adrenaline coursed through her. Time felt warped and thin, as if the air itself had grown heavy with menace. She could still hear the voice echoing in her ears, a cruel reminder that escape might be futile. Mommy, I'm scared, Lily whispered, pressing her tiny body against her mother's legs, her innocent eyes wide and glimmering with unshed tears. Shh, Sarah hissed, forcing calm into her voice as she took a tentative step toward the yard. The glass crunched underfoot, reminding her of the fragility of their situation. The darkness beyond the window seemed to breathe, alive and pulsing. She dared to peer outside. The moon hovered overhead, a thin strip of silver illuminating the porch, revealing a figure moving just beyond reach. He lingered, a shadow, a shape, terrifyingly still. Sweat trickled down the back of Sarah's neck, and she fought the urge to flee, to pull Lily back inside and lock away her fears. Are you going to come play with me? The figure called, his voice silky, taunting. You don't want to make me wait. Each syllable hung in the air, wrapping around her, squeezing tight. She wanted to shout, to scream for help, but fear clamped down on her throat like a vice. The hammer felt heavy in her grip, a meager comfort against the suffocating impending dread. Suddenly, without warning, the figure stepped into the flickering light. A face emerged, twisted by a grotesque grin. His eyes glinted with manic delight, as if he relished the chaos he had wrought. Sarah, he whispered, drawing out her name like it was honey, I've missed you. It's so much fun playing in the dark, don't you think? A jolt of recognition shot through her. She'd seen that face once before, fleetingly, at the mall, familiar enough to chill her to the bone. Stay back! She shouted, raising the hammer, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Now that's no way to treat an old friend, he cooed, each word dripping with malice. He tilted his head, studying her, as if savoring her fear. Mommy! Lily cried, burying her face against Sarah's leg, her voice trembling. Desperation clawed at Sarah's chest. This wasn't he just a stranger, it was a game to him. The rules were twisted, the stakes perilously high. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet she felt rooted to the ground, trapped in a tableau of horror. Why don't we play hide and seek? He suggested, with a sickening cheerfulness. I'll count to 20, and let us just say you only have to hide. Count all you want. I'll never let you near my child. Her voice was stronger now, anchored by a fierce protectiveness. Very well, but remember, he replied, a pout souring the sickly grin on his face, every game has its price. The shadows began to thicken, pooling around him until he almost slipped back into the darkness. Sarah felt her heart pound in warning, the edges of her vision darkening just like the gloom surrounding him. I'll find you, Sarah. Soon. You can't hide from me forever. Before she could process his words, he vanished, absorbed by the night. The sudden silence felt deafening, amplifying the rush of her heartbeat. Mommy, what do we do? Lily whispered, panic clawing at her voice. Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway behind them, puncturing the stillness. Each step was slow, deliberate, creeping closer. Sarah's skin prickled, dread pooled in her stomach. The game was far from over. She clutched the hammer to her chest and turned toward the sound. Who was coming now? Had he sent someone in? Who's there? She shouted, the words catching in her throat. The footsteps halted. Then, a light flicked on somewhere in the hall, illuminating the darkened corners of their home, casting long, distorted shadows that danced around her. Just a friend, a voice chirped from the shadows, familiar and chilling. The terror rebounded, the game spiraling out of her control. Who was this new player, and what did they want? The night was only beginning to unveil its horrors. Who is it? Sarah pressed, the hammer trembling in her grip. The silhouette of the new presence disappeared and reappeared as if caught in a flickering light. Don't you remember me, Sarah? The voice, overly sweet, coaxed her. She narrowed her eyes, trying to make out the features of the intruder. As the light steadied, her heart sank. It was Beth, her former neighbor, who had gone missing years ago. But her eyes, once warm and inviting, now glowed with a strange, unsettling glee. Beth? Sarah stammered, disbelief swirling with fear. You shouldn't be here. Why not? Beth giggled, her hair, wild and disheveled, framed her gaunt face. I've been waiting. You know how it is. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to you and Lily. Stay back! Sarah yelled, stepping in front of Lily, who peeked timidly from behind her mother's leg, not understanding fully but sensing the dread in the air. Why are you so scared, darling? We're just friends, playing a game. Beth's smile broadened, revealing teeth that appeared too sharp. You always said you wanted to keep Lily safe at all costs. Lily! Get upstairs. Now! Sarah commanded, shoving the hammer into the waistband of her pants. Mommy, Lily whimpered, glancing between her mother and Beth. Go! Now! Lily bolted, her small feet pattering up the stairs as Sarah's heart raced. Not so fast! Beth screeched, extending a slender arm, halting Lily just as she reached the staircase. You promised we'd all play together always. Let her go! Sarah shouted, stepping forward, adrenaline surging through her veins. In that moment, Beth's demeanor shifted, her voice turning thick and sinister. You don't get to decide, Sarah. I'm back, and I want to play. As Beth lunged forward, Sarah swept the hammer from her waistband and swung it wildly, connecting with the edge of the doorframe as Beth miraculously dodged, transforming into an ethereal wisp of shadow. Is that how you want to play? With violence? You know the rules, she whispered, now far away but still echoing through the hallway. You only hide if you want to escape. Secrets in the dark. What do you want from us? Sarah screamed, her breath quickening, the room closing in on her. You have something I want, my dear. Beth's face flickered in and out like a broken signal. I will find you, both of you. And then you'll see how fun this game can really be. With her fear intensifying, Sarah raced up the stairs, her pulse throbbing in her ears. She reached the landing, her eyes darting to find Lily in her bedroom, tears streaming down her cheeks. Mommy, I don't want to play. Lily sobbed. We're not playing, baby, Sarah whispered fiercely, hugging her tightly. We have to hide. We can't let her find us. As they crouched behind the bed, a chilling realization gripped Sarah. The front door stood ajar, the chill of the night air seeping in, bringing with it a whisper of laughter. Where are you hiding? Beth teased from the darkness below, her voice dipping into a melody that sent shivers racing down Sarah's spine. With each taunting echo, Sarah felt the walls of the house close in, constricting her breath. We can't stay here for long, she breathed, clutching Lily close, her every instinct screaming to flee. A sudden crash filled the air, as if something or someone was throwing itself against the front door, splintering wood under pressure. Your mother can't protect you forever, Beth called out, each word laced with twisted joy. Mommy! Lily whimpered, pressing into her. As Sarah glanced toward the door, she knew they had to do something, anything, if they wanted to survive the night. Where do we go? She whispered, fear constricting her throat. Will you play the game? The mocking voice floated up from below. Or will you forfeit? And in that moment, Sarah realized that one game might end, but another had only just begun. She could feel the weight of impending dread pooling around them, a shadow drawn closer. What would happen if they lost? Sarah's heart raced as she felt the echo of Beth's laughter burrow into her mind. It was a sound that twisted familiarity into horror, infecting her thoughts. Out of instinct, she whispered, We need to move, Lily. Lily stared up at her, her wide, tear-filled eyes reflecting the dread that suffocated the room. But where can we go? She asked, small and broken, clutching her mother's shirt tightly. Just come on, Sarah urged, squeezing her daughter's hand as she glanced at the bedroom window. The darkness beyond held no promises, but it was a choice better than being trapped inside with whatever had twisted Beth into this monster. They crept softly toward the window, every creak of the floorboards sounding like thunder in the tense stillness. Outside, the cool air beckoned, but an eerie fog rolled in, cloaking everything in sinister gray. Run! Beth's voice suddenly pierced through the stillness, calling from below. It's much more fun when you're scared. Terror urged Sarah to act. With a swift motion, she unlatched the window and pushed it open. The wood groaned like a living thing. She hoisted Lily up, forcing her small body through the opening. Mommy! Lily whimpered as Sarah pulled her through. They landed on the cold grass outside, and Sarah froze. There was stillness. For a heartbeat, they were safe, escaped into the night. But then, a prickly feeling crawled over Sarah's skin, a shadow cast over them. She spun around to see Beth perched at the window, her body twisted in an unnatural way, a grotesque grin stretching impossibly wide across her face. Oh, don't worry, I'll find you, Beth called out, her voice dripping with malice. This is just the beginning. Run! Sarah shouted, adrenaline flooding her veins. They sprinted into the dark yard, the whispers of the wind whispering threats and promises. Trees loomed like silent witnesses, their branches clawing at the sky. But the nighttime world was not just a haven, it was filled with unseen dangers. Every rustle sent jabs of fear through Sarah as they dove behind a shed. Where do we go now? Lily's small voice shivered against Sarah's ear. The barn. We can hide in the barn, Sarah urged, her voice tight with panic. They crawled low across the damp grass, every step heavy with a burden of dread. The barn stood like a sentinel, dark and looming, its door slightly ajar. Would it keep them safe, or was it just another trap? Inside, the scent of hay and rust mingled with musty earth. Sarah pushed Lily inside, fixating on a beam of light streaming through a crack in the wall. They could hide there, just for a moment. "You need to be quiet," Sarah whispered urgently, shushing her daughter when Lily sniffled. They pressed their backs to the wall, melding into the shadows, barely breathing. But silence was a fleeting friend. The barn door creaked open behind them, and Sarah's heart plummeted like lead. She peeked around the corner, her breath hitching in her throat. "Where are you?" Beth sang, her voice lilting and melodic, echoing at the edges of sanity. "You can't hide from me, my dear. You made a promise, Mommy, I'm scared." Lily's voice squeaked, a whispered plea laden with horror. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, willing away the stinging tears. But effort was futile as panic clawed at her heart. She needed a plan. "Stay quiet. Stay close," she breathed out, heart racing at the hovering darkness. While they crouched, waiting for the shadows to pass, Sarah's mind spun with desperate thoughts. "How do we break the game? I can't let her take you." Wait, wasn't that what Beth had said? Secrets in the dark, Sarah murmured, realization crashing into her. What if the key to their survival lay hidden in those words? Above their breaths, they heard the soft giggle. "Oh, hiding won't work forever, Sarah." With the walls of the barn closing in, something clicked in Sarah's mind, a last game, one that could shatter Beth's hold. "Lily, what did you hear me tell you about the rules of hide and seek?" You said." Louder, Sarah whispered, urging her daughter's memory. "I said, you can't win if you don't seek." Lily said, her voice small yet solid. A rush of determination sparked inside Sarah. "Exactly. But we must draw her out." The barn door was slightly ajar, inviting fear and dread, but they needed to lure Beth in. Would it work? Would they survive long enough to try? "Are you ready, Lily?" Sarah asked, the trembling resolve surfacing as she clutched her hammer tightly. "We have to face her," Lily said, determination dawning in those innocent eyes. "Yes, together." Then they took a deep breath, a fragile alliance formed against the terror. "Come play with us, Beth," Sarah called out, her voice steady, the game unfolding in a twisted way, testing boundaries of safety. Just outside, the giggles shifted. "Oh, lovely!" The door creaked wider, and the coarse laughter rang out, echoing, drawing closer. They knew she'd come. But Sarah couldn't shake the ever-pressing question, had they really turned the game? Would it end in freedom or despair? The final confrontation loomed, and the dark air throbbed with dread. Would the barn protect them, or was it merely another trap waiting to be sprung? The barn creaked ominously as the heavy air thickened with dread. Shadows seemed to stretch and twist around them like living creatures, hungry to consume any flicker of hope. Sarah held her breath, listening intently as the giggles grew louder, more gleeful, a sound that sent ice coursing through her veins. "Lily, stay close to me," she whispered through clenched teeth, her hammer tightening in her grip. The door quivered, rattling lightly against its frame as Beth's taunting voice floated through the crack. "Mommy's playing a game, isn't she? How cozy, but I hope you didn't think that would keep you safe." The laughter bubbled up, childish yet filled with something ancient and malevolent. Sarah's heart raced with each throaty chuckle, the very pitch of it grating against her nerves. "We can't let her in," she murmured, her mind racing. "She thrives on fear. If we show her we're calm, maybe what?" Lily whispered, squeezing her mother's hand so tightly Sarah could feel her little knuckles pressing against her skin. "She'll get us, Mom." "No!" The word burst from Sarah's mouth, more vehement than she intended. "We want to let her. We need a plan. We have to find out what these secrets in the dark are." "Secrets," Lily echoed, her voice still quaking. And that's when a chilling silence enveloped the barn. The giggling ceased, replaced by an oppressive stillness that slammed down on them like a weight. Sarah's breath caught in her throat, each second stretching unnaturally as fear coiled tighter within her. A sudden crash from outside shattered the quiet, and Sarah's eyes darted toward the barn door, flung open by an unseen force. The light from the moon spilled inside, illuminating a tiny speck in the corner of the barn, the shadow of Beth, now stepping through the threshold, her face twisted in a loathsome grin. "Oh, how I love the scent of fear," she crooned, her voice syrupy thick with delight. "It fills the night air perfectly, don't you think?" Panic surged in waves as Sarah felt her daughter clinging desperately to her leg. "Mommy!" Lily whimpered, her voice a tragic whisper. The creature that was once Beth stepped further into the barn, revealing limbs that seemed to bend at unnatural angles, a grotesque mimicry of the girl Sarah once knew. Come out, wherever you are!" "What do we do?" Lily's voice trembled, just above a whisper. "You stay here. I'll distract her," Sarah said, forcing herself to sound brave. The words felt like a thin veil over her pounding heart. "You can't!" Lily protested, her eyes wide and glistening with tears. "I have to," Sarah insisted, forcing herself to breathe evenly. She took a step forward, tightening her grip on the hammer, heart thundering in her ears. "Hey, Beth! I'm here!" A flicker of recognition crossed that twisted face, and Beth's eyes sparkled with dark enjoyment, as if relishing the chase. "Sarah! There you are! I was starting to think you didn't want to play with me." The moment hung like a delicate thread, teetering dangerously close to snapping. Then, with a powerful swing of her arm, Sarah hurled the hammer toward Beth. The metal collided with the barn wall, sending a shudder through the old structure. But it didn't hit her. Instead, as Beth lurched back in surprise, Sarah took off deeper into the barn, the darkness wrapping around her. "Lily, stay put!" She could hear her daughter's whimper echoing through the ominous silence. Panic clawed at Sarah's throat as she raced through the dimly lit spaces. Behind her, Beth's laughter echoed like the warped flute of a nightmare, distorting as more of the eerie giggles joined in. "Oh, Sarah! I want to play a much more fun game this time. Where are you hiding?" Sarah darted behind stacks of hay bales, breathless. She pressed against the damp wood, her heart hammering a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Then she saw a glimmer in the dark, a trapdoor partially hidden beneath some scattered hay. A way out. With a surge of desperation, Sarah gripped the handle and heaved it open. "Lily! Come on! I found a way!" But the moment she stepped into the dusty hole, she felt a heart-stopping jolt, a chill wrapping around her ankle like a vice. Instinctively, Sarah twisted to look back as Beth loomed over the opening, a nightmare painted in moonlight, grinning with malicious joy. "Where are you going? The fun is just beginning." In that second, the realization clawed through Sarah's mind. Would they truly escape, or was this just another round in Beth's twisted game? As she pulled Lily down into the darkness, the world above vanished into a cacophony of laughter. The scream lodged in Sarah's throat as the trapdoor slammed shut, plunging them into an inky black void. What secrets awaited them below? The darkness seemed to swallow them whole. Sarah held Lily tightly as she struggled to orient herself. The air was thick and musty, filled with the smell of decay and something far worse, a sour, metallic scent that made her stomach churn. "What is this place, Mom?" Lily's voice trembled, breaking the silence that loomed around them. "I don't know," Sarah whispered, her heart racing. She felt the cold dampness of the ground beneath her palms, fingers trembling with anxiety. "But we need to stay quiet. We can't let her hear us." The laughter from above faded slowly, turning into distant echoes, but the weight of unease lingered. With caution, Sarah shifted her weight and squinted into the blackness, searching for any sign of what lay around her. Suddenly, a low sound reverberated through the darkness, a scraping noise like nails against wood. Sarah froze, holding her breath, straining to listen. That sound seemed to get closer, a dreadful dragging, as if something were slinking through the depths, circling them. "Mom," Lily whimpered again, her voice small and fragile in the vast void. "I'm scared." "Me too," Sarah admitted, battling the swirling fear with the need to be brave. "But we'll figure this out. Just stay close." Her senses on high alert, Sarah began to inch forward, keeping her back low to the ground, the cold biting into her skin as she moved. Each scrape echoed in her ears, mingling with her pounding heartbeat. Then she spotted a faint outline, a dim outline against the deeper dark. It could have been a wall or a door, she couldn't tell. Yet, it had to be something. "Lily, Come on, she said softly, gesturing her daughter forward. We need to find a way out. As they approached the outline, the scraping morphed into a series of muffled whispers. No longer a solitary sound, it echoed like a chorus, each voice blending with the next. Sarah's stomach turned. They weren't alone. Whatever was down here was watching them. Mommy, I hear them, Lily said, her eyes wide, reflecting a fear that made Sarah's heart ache. I know, Lily. We have to keep going. Just then, the whispers stopped, replaced by a chilling silence. Sarah motioned for Lily to stay close, desperation gripping her throat. She reached her hand out to touch the outline, brushing it with her fingertips. A rough, cold surface greeted her touch. Is it a door? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I think so. Sarah's pulse raced, the dread swelling as she placed her palm flat against the surface. Something shifted on the other side. The feeling of dread intensified an unwelcoming presence, alert and ready for a confrontation. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the dark, the sound of something heavy falling. The vibrations shook the floor beneath them, sending a jolt of terror coursing through Sarah's body. Sarah! The voice was distinct now, that sickly sweet tone of Beth echoing in the darkness. Are you playing hide and seek? You can't hide forever. Run! Sarah hissed, her survival instinct kicking in. She yanked Lily to her side, pulling her away from the door, sprinting deeper into the blackness, the whispers morphing into manic laughter that followed their every step. They stumbled through the shadows, impossibly tight corners closing in around them, as if the very walls were tightening, threatening to confine them. Sarah's breath came in harsh gasps, dread curling in the pit of her stomach. Then, in the middle of the stifling darkness, something caught Sarah's eye, a faint glimmer at the end of the tunnel. Look! She shouted, her hope flaring briefly. There's light. But in the despairing silence that followed, Sarah's heart sank as the cackling laughter erupted again, louder this time, a terrifying symphony composed of madness. Before she could react, the sound grew all-consuming, drowning out everything else as shadows closed in, circling them like wolves. They weren't just in a labyrinth. They were ensnared in a twisted nightmare, a game dictated by something far beyond their understanding. And somewhere, deep in that darkness, the shadows shifted, revealing secrets that had waited long enough. What entity truly lurked in the echoes of laughter, watching and waiting? They ran, hearts pounding in sync, the weight of shadows pressing down on them. The laughter twisted and writhed around them, mocking, sneering, taunting. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, making Sarah's skin crawl. She gripped Lily's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her daughter against the chill of the air. Mom, where are we going? Lily gasped through shallow breaths, her little legs faltering under the sudden demand for speed. To the light. We're almost there. Sarah fought to keep her voice steady, but anxiety rippled through her. The glimmer seemed farther away now, tainted by the encroaching darkness. They were trapped in an inescapable game, its rules dictated by a malevolent force. As they turned sharply into another narrow passage, the walls seemed to bulge and breathe. The air turned stale, weighted as if the darkness was tightening around them, claiming its prey. Images of Beth, a specter of dread, haunted Sarah's thoughts. How had they gotten here? Where was that game supposed to end? Then, in a moment of divine misfortune, they stumbled upon a large, gaping hole in the ground. It looked like the mouth of some ancient beast waiting to swallow them whole. Stop! Lily screamed, nearly tripping into the void, her eyes wide with panic. Lily, don't move! Sarah's throat constricted, her instincts screaming as she yanked her daughter back. They stood frozen, staring into the abyss. The air puffed up from below, sending a vile stench spiraling upwards, mingling with the metallic tang that suffocated their senses. The laughter returned, stronger and more intense, swirling around them with a sinister purpose. It morphed into whispers. It was as if 1,000 voices were hissing secrets just out of reach. Sarah's breath hitched. She felt the weight of judgment from the eyes inside the dark, and her stomach churned with fear. Mom! Lily clutched Sarah's arm, her grip powerful for such small fingers. What if she gets us? Sarah let out a shuddering breath. We'll find a way. With trembling hands, she looked for something, anything, that could guide them. The light appeared brilliant again, beckoning like the last flicker of a dying candle. It wasn't far, she assured herself. Clamping down on her racing heart, she pulled her daughter towards the gloaming. Just a little closer, sweetheart, the voice of reassurance felt fragile, diffusing into the swirling shadows. As they pressed on, the ground beneath them began to shift. The earth seemed to tremble, shifting like it was alive, furiously trying to reclaim what it had lost. Lily yelped, startled as something sharp brushed against her ankle. What was that? Probably just roots, Sarah lied, glancing back toward the darkness, half expecting Beth to leap from the void. The laughter crescendoed again, now carrying a new chilling tone, laughing in delight at their fear. Glancing upwards, Sarah gasped. What she had taken for dark stone now twisted into grotesque shapes, faces, hands, mouths locked in eternal screaming etched into the stone. Was it some cruel reminder of those who could not escape? With newfound urgency, they stumbled forward, the light pulsing ahead like a throbbing heart. But before they could reach it, a figure emerged, a dark silhouette rising from the depth, blocking their path. Where do you think you're going? A voice laced with sickly sweetness echoed through the tunnel. Run, Lily! Now! But the darkness seemed to pull them back, wrapping around their ankles like icy fingers. Sarah fought against it, only to feel herself sinking, her footing disappearing. The laughter grew louder, wrapping around them like a noose, and in an instant Sarah knew they wouldn't escape without a fight. Then they heard it, the sound of shrieking, agonized voices, each cry stronger and more haunting than the one before. One voice stood out. It pierced through the cacophony, calling their names: Sarah, Lily. In that gut-wrenching moment, Sarah froze. What if her heart stalled, fear mingling with something almost like despair? What if the darkness had always been a part of them? And just like that, they realized the shadows had stirred, no longer mere whispers but an entity poised to strike against them. What price would they have to pay to escape? Sarah pulled Lily close, steeling herself for whatever came next, but deep down, she already knew they were entangled in a fate only the shadows could dictate. The laughter faded, replaced by a single chilling question that pulled at the very fabric of their existence. What if they weren't meant to escape at all? The darkness closed in, wrapping around Sarah and Lily like thick fog, pressing mercilessly against their bodies. Sarah held her daughter tightly, each shuddering breath thick with the scent of rot and despair. The suffocating laughter lingered in the air, echoing more ominously than before, each giggle stained with malice that stung her skin. Mommy Lily's trembling voice was barely a whisper, but it mirrored Sarah's own disbelief. I don't want to be here. No one wants to be here, Sarah replied, her voice cracked, fear entangling her insides. But we're going to find a way out. We must. Collecting her determination, Sarah took a cautious step toward the flickering light that appeared just at the edge of perception. The air felt charged, like static, each moment suspended in dreadful anticipation. The laughter turned into whines, shrieks echoing from unseen mouths, swirling around them. You'll never escape. You belong with us. Drawing strength from her anger and her love for Lily, Sarah pressed on, inching toward the light that pulsed in the distance, a beacon of hope in the suffocating void. We have to keep moving, sweetheart, she urged, their feet dragging through the earth, which seemed to cling like a parasite, desperate to keep them from fleeing. As they approached, the source of the light became clearer. It was a portal, swirling with hues of gold and blue, inviting yet foreboding. It swirled above a pit so deep and dark that it swallowed the last echoes of the laughter. That must be the way out. Sarah gasped, feeling a surge of relief, but it was short-lived, as the shadows around them writhed in fury. You can't leave! A chorus of voices shrieked, like banshees mourning a lost cause. The ground trembled beneath their feet, the darkness swirling and reforming into shapes, faces of lost souls crying out for release. What do we do? Lily asked, clutching her mom tighter, her fear tangible. It coursed like electricity between them. Keep holding my hand, Sarah instructed, scanning the area for anything that might help. The hammer nestled in her waistband was heavy and reassuring. On the count of 3, we run for that light. Okay. Lily's voice trembled. 1, 2. Sarah felt a hardening resolve swell inside her. 3. Hand in hand, they sprinted toward the light, the darkness clawing at their backs, trying to pull them down into its depths. Just as they reached the vortex, a shadow lunged forward, baring its nightmarish teeth. The momentum caused them to tumble forward into the light, the world around them exploding with color and warmth, a primal contrast to the chill that had taken hold of them. The moment they crossed the threshold, they were met with blinding brightness, colors sweeping across their vision, enveloping them in a vivid burst of freedom. "Mommy!" Lily cried, a sound of pure joy bursting forth as they landed on solid ground, panting for breath. They turned back, expecting the mist to chase them into this new world, but instead, the darkness shrank away behind the portal, a mere whisper carried away by the wind. "Is it gone?" Sarah gasped, her heart racing, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Lily stared wide-eyed, a glimmer of hope flickering back to life. "Did we really escape?" "I think so," Sarah said, glancing around. They were standing in a sun-drenched park just a few blocks from their home, the scent of fresh flowers filling their lungs, a stark contrast to the putrid smell of the darkness. "Mommy, look! The sun!" Lily jumped, laughter bubbling from her as she spun around, absorbing the bright warmth. "Yeah," Sarah breathed deeply, feeling her own heart lift as the weight of their memories washed away. "We did it, sweetheart." But then, the joy felt incomplete, as though a shadow still loomed, lingering at the edges of her mind. She turned, searching the park. Was it truly over? Did they really escape? The mundane sounds of children laughing, swings creaking happily, seemed so distant from the horror they had just endured. "Come on," she said softly, reaching for Lily's hand. They stepped forward together toward their home, but every step felt heavy with unspoken questions. Halfway down the lane, she glanced back. The park seemed normal, vibrant, alive. Yet, in the corner of her eye, something flickered. A shadow darted behind a bench, a faint giggle bounced on the breeze. "Mommy!" Lily whispered, her grip tightening as she sensed her mother's shift. "Just keep moving," Sarah urged, quickening her pace, her heart drumming with every beat. The shadows followed quietly, the laughter receding, but its echoes clung to her like an unwelcome embrace. But even with that threatening presence, they were free. The memories bled, fading like hues of a sunset. Feeling a flicker of hope amongst the dread, Sarah held Lily's hand tighter. Together, she whispered to her daughter. Always together. As they stepped back into the everyday hustle of Maplewood, the eerie laughter drowned in a surge of memories that dissipated like mist. The unshakable bond between them felt solid, a shield forged in terror. Still, beneath it all, a quiet promise settled in the back of Sarah's mind. They had escaped, for now. But could they ever truly be free of the past? Only time would tell. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are waiting for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and help us bring even more chills to life. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending because we want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It's time to spread the thrill.